The legacy of Dr. John Money is both controversial and tragic. This is a tale of two genders, of when circumcision goes wrong. A study on nature versus nurture and gender reassignment.
Dr. Money received 2 master's degrees in his native New Zealand in philosophy/psychology and education. He later went on to teach at the University of Otago, which we've never heard of. But he did get his PhD from Harvard, which is a little bit better. He went on to work at Johns Hopkins, which is kind of a big deal. And he published many works, including Gay, Straight, and In Between, The Sexology of Erotic Orientation. In 2002, he was honored by winning the Magnus Hirschfeld Medal.
Dr. Money's focus throughout his career was on gender and sexuality. He wrote on topics such as gender identity, gender roles, and a concept called love mapping, which is, quote, a developmental representation or template in the mind and in the brain depicting the idealized lover and the idealized program of sexual and erotic activity projected in imagery or actually engaged in with that lover, end quote. He also was the first to use the chemical MPA as a form of castration for sexual offenders and deviants. His work with transvestites and transgendered individuals was highly publicized. However, his case study on David Reimer was by far the cornerstone of his career.
Now working at Johns Hopkins University in Baltimore, Dr. John Money was a pioneer in the new field of sex change surgery.
It's still a pretty drastic procedure, isn't it?
Well, it's a drastic procedure by your standards and mine, but for the people who are living in desperation, perhaps the best way to understand it is that it seems no more drastic to them than circumcision.
Dr. Money had developed a radical new theory about gender identity and how nature versus nurture impacts whether we think of ourselves as a girl or a boy. He thought that while genes were important, as far as gender was concerned, a baby's essentially neutral for the first 2 years of life. He believed during these critical 2 years, the baby's upbringing, how it is nurtured, would determine whether it feels masculine or feminine.
Bruce and Brian Reimer were twin boys born on August 22, 1965. When they were a few months old, their parents brought them in for what they thought would be a routine circumcision. However, there were some complications. You will now witness the tragic circumstances that brought the Reimers and Dr. Money together.
Due to the negligence of one nurse, who shall remain unnamed, Christine Alger, Reimer's parents turned to Dr. John Money for his expertise on gender reassignment. Dr. Money decided to conduct reconstructive surgery on the baby's singed remains of a penis. In addition, Reimer received hormone treatments until the age of 14 and was treated and socialized as a female. His parents dressed him like a girl, grew his hair out, bought him girly toys, and encouraged him to act like a girl. However, Easy Bake Ovens are unisex.
When Brenda was 7 years old, Dr. Money announced to the world that his experiment was a success. If given the correct upbringing, a boy could be turned into a girl.
Bruce would now be known as Brenda. However, this intervention proved unsuccessful. Brenda remained confused about her body and was poorly socialized throughout her childhood and early adolescence. She showed strong projection of masculine traits, even though she believed that she was a girl.
Dr. Money kept saying it would work out.
I didn't like dressing like a girl. I didn't like behaving like a girl. I didn't like acting like a girl. I usually get stuck with dolls or something like that for my birthday or Christmas. And sat in the corner collecting dust.
For almost 14 years, David had lived as Brenda, and for most of that time, he had been unhappy.
After 14 years of unhappiness, the Reimers decided to tell their daughter Brenda that she was actually born a male. It was at this time that Brenda made the decision to become
David.
David refused any further surgery, switched his hormone therapy from estrogen to testosterone, and received a reconstructed penis. He later went on to marry a woman.
David's twin brother, Brian, never recovered from the emotional trauma of discovering that his sister was actually his brother. As a result, Bruce began abusing several drugs and died from an overdose. From here on, it was downhill. David blamed himself for the loss of his brother and plummeted into a depressive state. To make matters worse, his marriage was moving in the direction of a divorce. David continued to blame his faults in his relationship on his inability to please his wife sexually. On May 5th, David took a shotgun and ended his life.
There was much controversy surrounding the David Reimer case. There were allegations that Dr. Money took inappropriate pictures of the Reimer twins, and he was accused of sexual exploitation. In addition, Dr. Money was accused of abusing his power over the children, specifically during treatments in which the Reimer parents were not present. Dr. Money continued to falsely report that the case was successful, even after it was clear that David was never comfortable as a woman. This was an attempt to demonstrate that nurture can completely overpower nature.
You don't wake up one morning and say, "Oh, I'm a boy today." It's in you.
This case had a huge impact on the field of psychology. The Reimer study challenged Dr. Money's extreme interpretation of behaviorism and showed that nature and gender are fundamentally linked, and the environment cannot shape one's gender entirely. While the nature-nurture debate rages on, the Reimer study demonstrated that both nature and nurture play an integral role in shaping one's gender identity.
It's not burning. It's fireproof paper. We burned him a little vagina.
Is that really the face you would make if your baby had a burned off penis?
Brenda remained confused about her.
Ah, damn it!